I think the Obama administration had from the very beginning, I mean, even since before Obama was president, they had a plan for the Middle East, and that was to reshape the Middle East in line with Iranian regional ambition, because Obama has this particularly weird idea that Iran could be easily moderated and that they could become a regional counterbalance to Israel, because he doesn't like Israel particularly much. He doesn't like Saudi Arabia a lot. So why not empower the mullahs, and maybe that would moderate them? And obviously, the opposite happened. The mullahs were strengthened in power. Obama, since 2009, was allowing dissidents to be mowed down in the streets, basically, with no response from the United States. The Iran deal was just an outgrowth of Obama's peculiarly pro-Iranian view. Samantha Power is, I think, even more ridiculous, because Samantha Power, of course, got famous off the back of writing a book about genocide and the horrors of genocide in a West that stands by and does nothing while genocide is pursued. And then, of course, she was the architect of a Syria and Iran policy that ends with the genocide of 500,000 people in Syria. So and yesterday she's sitting around talking about, oh, I remember the dark days when we had to worry about Iranian nuclear ambitions. I remember the dark days when Iran was a real threat. And then I remember the joy and the wonder that came about after the Iran deal. And you're looking around going, Samantha, Assad used gas on his own people 5 minutes ago. Iran has taken over Lebanon. Iran is taking over Yemen. Iran is taking over Iraq. Iran is pursuing violence via Hamas and Hezbollah. Like, what are you smoking? I mean, what kind of crack are you on? Because you're living in this alternative world where the Iran deal solves all of the Iran problems. And as you see, I think the most hilarious thing about the aftermath of Trump's completely correct and brave rejection of the Iran deal, the most hilarious thing is that the Obama people who had said that the deal was going to establish moderates in Iran, those same people were saying, well, now look at Iran. What do you expect them to do? And Iran was saying, we're going to go directly after nuclear weapons. We're going to burn American flags and shout death to America. We're going to pursue strikes against Israel. Yeah, clearly the moderates have been wildly empowered by the Iran deal.
So this is really just empowering now Israel. I have no question that Israel could defend itself and can take care of itself. This is a good move toward empowering Israel. However, Ben, next week is their 70th birthday. We're going to open up the embassy, which I support. You've got riots in Gaza on the border. You have the Iranian Guard coming in and closing. You have people starting to move towards the Golan Heights. Are we at a flashpoint? Is next week a really, really dangerous week?
I mean, I think it's definitely a more dangerous week. But the problem for Iran is that it has no anti-Israel allies in the region other than the ones that it directly controls. So it's less dangerous for Israel than the same moves would have been, say, 15 years ago. Because the fact is that the Saudis, the Egyptians, the Jordanians, they're all on Israel's side. I mean, the Saudis have legitimately been telling the Palestinians, either take the deal that's being offered you or sit down and shut up, because they understand that Iran is a greater threat. One of the weird effects of Obama's pro-Iran policy is that it actually created this counterbalance in the form of this alliance that didn't exist before. I think that, is it more dangerous in terms of Iran could, push violence against Israel next week? Sure. But it's less dangerous than it would be in 10 years when Iran does the same thing, right? If Iran has nuclear weapons and Iran pushes the same thing, then all of a sudden you're looking at the risk of nuclear war in the Middle East. Iran does not have a functional nuclear weapon at this point yet, which means that Bibi Netanyahu has got to be sitting there thinking, listen, if I've got to take the battle today or I've got to take the battle 7 years from now when Iran has a nuke, I'd much rather fight it today, which is why Israel went in and struck an Iranian target in Syria. They've been striking Iranian targets in Syria pretty regularly. Iran would be absolutely foolish to escalate things dramatically with Israel, because Israel actually does not only have the power to protect itself, but working in conjunction with Saudi Arabia, using Saudi airspace, they have the conjunction to do serious damage to the regime itself.